Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin and I'm a managing partner at 40 Capital. We specialize in a very unique approach to the stock market analysis where we analyze the market and individual stocks in three-dimensional space. We actually calculate them. And on top of that, we have developed a number of very unique timing variables. And when we combine it all together, we can essentially predict very accurately in both time and price exactly what the overall stock market or individual stocks will do going forward. And we can typically do it on multiple time frames. Whether we're talking about long-term or short-term doesn't really matter because the same set of calculations essentially apply. Now, I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim. So today we're going to be looking at Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway is one of our 52 mega cap stocks that we update twice a year. Last time we did this update was, I believe, in early January or December of last year. And at that time, we've suggested that the stock is approaching a major top. Our target was $553 plus or minus $8 per share. By the way, this is Berkshire B-class shares. And after that, we would expect the stock to decline not too much into April of 2026. So this is what it looks on the chart. Now, this is a very simplified representation of a very complex set of calculations. So let me just explain it very, very briefly. What you see here on top and on the bottom, the triangles, these are cycles associated with, cycle composites associated with Berkshire Hathaway. And typically what happens is that bottom composites are responsible for putting in major and minor bottoms, and top composites are responsible for putting in major and minor tops. What makes matter even more, a little bit more complicated, is there are typically multiple composites running in any given stock or the overall stock market. So for example, Dow Jones has two bottom composites and two upper composites running at the same time. But if you know how to put them or take them apart, which is what our software has done or is doing, and put them back together, you can essentially replicate the actual stock market chart line that you see on the two-dimensional time and price chart, as is the case here. So basically what our forecast was telling, once again, this is a very simplified version of very complex set of calculations that are visually presented to you here. So what it says is that the Berkshire Hathaway is going to top here, mid-cycle top, and decline into this bottom schedule for April of 2026. So the top is in. It hit within $2 outside of our target area, which was once again $553 plus or minus $8. Very accurate hit, and now it is declining into this bottom area. Now the lines you see on the chart, I'm just going to mention it very briefly here because it's not applicable to Berkshire Hathaway, but I want you to have a little bit of understanding how our timing parameters work. So the lines you see here are not composites, but cycle clusters, as we call them. So our software has the ability to scan the chart back as long as it goes, pick out our proprietary cycles, and then project them into the future. What we found over the years is that important turning points or even short-term turning points typically occur not when a singular cycle arrives, but when there's a multitude of cycles arriving. So we call them clusters. So when there's 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles arriving at the same time, that essentially guarantees a turning point, particularly if those cycles are powerful cycles, and then we can almost with certainty say that a turning point will occur there. So when these cycle clusters combine and line up with composites, we know very well that the turning point is coming. So the question in this particular case becomes just one more thing I want to mention from our prior forecast. At that time we mentioned that because of this anticipated decline, most likely something either going to happen to Warren Buffett or he's going to step down as CEO of the company, and that's exactly what happened. And you can at least fundamentally argue the decline we've seen so far is because of that. So the question becomes, where's the bottom and what's going to happen thereafter? Well, if we look at our timing model, once the bottom is put in place in April of 2026, Berkshire Hathaway is going to increase into 2029 and a major top, and this particular top is going to be an all-time high for the stock. I'm not saying it's going to go necessarily much higher than what we see here in 2025, but a new all-time high is essentially guaranteed. So the question becomes, where's the bottom of this decline? So our software has the capability to calculate where the bottom is going to be, and that's one of the visual representations you see here on the chart. We actually do, the software does it automatically and gives us a number, or in certain cases 2 numbers, 3 numbers, depending on how complicated the case is. But once again, this is just a very easy visual representation of very complex set of calculations that are happening behind the scenes. And it has identified this particular level and this particular level as potential bottom. So as it applies to the overall stock market chart, or I'm sorry, stock price for the Berkshire Hathaway, it is $454 plus or minus $10 is one target, and the secondary target is $345 a share plus or minus $5 for the bottom in April of 2026. Now this secondary target of $345 is more likely, but there's a very easy way to tell which one is going to be. If we are approaching April of 2026 and we are still sitting at around $550, $60, $70 a share, then you can rest assured it's going to be the prior target of $454. But if we broke below that level, let's say we broke below $440 a share, then it is nearly guaranteed that the bottom is going to be at $345 a share. Now, we could do more work, more calculations, and as well as timing parameters in order to extract that data, but in this particular case we didn't do it because this particular stock is not of interest to us. It is not moving as quickly as we would like, and there isn't much of an opportunity for us because quite a few stocks that we pull out, they're yielding 2x, 5x, even 10x, 15x sometimes. So from that perspective, looking at Berkshire Hathaway, yes, even though we know the top and we know the projected bottom and the time variable associated with it, it's not of particular interest, especially here on the short side, to do anything with it. Once it hits bottom, yes, there's going to be quite, I would, once again, I wouldn't say a significant opportunity, but there's going to be a opportunity to perhaps double your money over the next 2 to 3 years in the stock. But until that happens, it's not of interest, and we're simply waiting and for the stock to hit bottom. And that in itself is an incredibly valuable piece of information if you are, want to take a position in the stock, or if you're perhaps thinking about getting out, or when certain things will happen and develop in this particular stock. So that's it for Berkshire Hathaway. Once again, this was one of our 52 mega cap stocks. We also have very detailed breakdowns of the overall stock market, what that's going to do going forward, as well as fast movers. Fast movers are stocks that are expected to increase or decrease quite substantially within a short period of time. We also have super equities and a tremendous amount of information that we can essentially calculate out in the market with our very powerful software. So we do have a 30-day free trial associated with our work, no strings, no credit cards. All you have to do is request access, and you can do it by clicking some of the links in the description of this video. And finally, final thing I wanted to mention is that we do have quite a bit of information, once again, in the description of the video about our work. You can look at our calculations, you can verify our calculations, and see that it indeed does work and produces very, very accurate results. And finally, don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back with another update tomorrow. We're going to be looking at one of our fast movers, and I believe you're going to find it quite fascinating as well. So thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day ahead. We'll be back with another update tomorrow. Bye-bye.